Hello, everybody. So we'll get started properly in a minute or two. I'll just let a couple more people join in. But today we're going to be going over the Muzie Alpha release. So this is sort of like a two-part release. Um, Part of it is that you can go and use this stuff right now today. And then in a week or two, we're going to roll out all of these features onto the regular Muzie platform. So if you want to follow along sort of in real time while I'm doing things, you can go to alpha.muzie.studio. So as of right now, that's open. So anyone who's here or anyone who's listening to this recording, well, assuming you're listening to the recording in the next day or two, um, you will have access to alpha.muzie.studio. So that is the full set of features that are going to be rolling out. And all you need to do is log in through that link and have your students log in through that link as well. That's probably the most important part, is your students need to log in using alpha.muzie.studio. Same username and password. You don't need to create new accounts. All of your information is transferred over. So all your files, all your messages, all your assignments, all that stuff is all available in alpha as it is available in live. Now, if you just want to wait a couple weeks and, just wait till this all rolls out, that's fine too. But I would strongly recommend at least doing a couple lessons in alpha ahead of time so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on there and try out the new things. The only request we have is if you do try alpha, please send in, at the end of the lessons, there's those like the little like, how did the lesson go? Please fill that out. Even if everything well, just say everything went well, and just make a note that you're on alpha. But we need that stuff to make sure that everything's going fine. The dozen or so teachers who are already on alpha have said everything's going really well, but we're kind of hoping to have a whole bunch of more people, you guys, try it out and just let us know. So that way, when the release goes live to Muzie, Muzie.Live, then everything's all good. So we will. You shouldn't have to join by phone. I'm just looking at the Q&A, which is, I was just going to say, if you have any questions, the Q&A tab is where we'll answer those and kind of do a back and forth. So if you have questions, drop them in the Q&A. And for Gus's question, you shouldn't have to join by phone. I think you can join by phone for this webinar, but I'm pretty sure most people are just on their computers. So just let me know if there's a problem there. But basically, we'll go through what's new, what's changed, and if you have questions, please let me know. But basically, as I was saying at the beginning, if you want to sort of follow along in real time, log into your teaching account at alpha.muzie.studio. And here, I'll just put it in the Q&A, so you all have the link. And you can be doing the things that I'm talking about on screen simultaneously, so you can kind of get an idea for how this is going to look and feel. There are quite a few updates, so we'll just go through those and let me know if you have questions as we go. So I'm just going to fire up a screen share and let me know if you can or can't see this page. Just if anyone could just give me a quick yes or no on whether or not you can see it says beta, by the way. Beta and alpha are interchangeable in this sense. We have two platforms. Well, we have three. We have the live platform, the beta platform, and the alpha platform. But beta and alpha are the same right now. Cool. Thank you, Pamela. Cool. So let's get rolling. So the first thing you're going to see, and I don't really need to see myself. Okay. So the first thing you'll notice when you get on is a new getting started page. Now, if you're, a veteran Muzie teacher, this page probably isn't all that interesting or important to you, but for new teachers, this is just a kind of a new welcoming page. to give you a little bit better idea of what's going on. So you can book a demo directly from here. So you don't need to go to the website every time. You can just click on that button, opens the calendar, and you can just book a demo directly. As all of you, I'm sure, know, you can book demos with me whenever you need them. You can open the chat support right from here, which opens the actual chat support. And coming soon is these new help videos. So you'll see these little question marks in the corner. When you click on them, there'll be like a little video in the bottom right corner. It's sort of like a floating head almost of me just going through whatever feature it is that you're currently using. And then a quick link to our help videos on YouTube down here. Now, if you're, a veteran of Muzie and you don't really need this, you can just jump into your settings, hit the hide getting started, and just hit save. And then when you go back to your homepage, that tab has been removed. So you're not going to see that anymore. So yeah, so if you don't really need that, don't worry about it. But it will show up the first time you log in, because you have to disable it otherwise. So we'll go through the lesson stuff first, and then some of the other stuff. So basically, layout hasn't really changed. This isn't like a Muzie 3.0 update. This is more like a Muzie 2.5 update, if you want to put a title on it. But basically, I'm going to fire up a lesson. That's, still works the same way. Click on the camera to get the lesson going. Now, there is a slight difference with how you actually start the lesson from here. So we've moved the start button out of the bottom left corner, and we've put it in the middle of the page. Mostly just because it's a bit more front and center, and you've got it right there, and it's pretty straightforward. We've also added a device checker. So it will look for a camera, a microphone, and speakers, and you will get checks or X's depending on whether or not the Muzie can see those devices. If you cannot see those devices, you can run the system checker, which is a new little tool that will actually scan your computer for a camera, microphone, and speakers. It'll also check your network connection. So if your network is really slow or disrupted, you can see that information right here. And if there is an error on any of these, there'll be another pop-up window that will explain what to do. So if you don't have a camera, for instance, it will say, go to your settings and update your camera permissions or whatever is necessary for your browser. So that hopefully will eliminate the issue of people joining a lesson and not having a camera or microphone set. And actually, just to show you, if I turn off my camera and I reload this page, we should get a sort of like access denied this time. And I'll show you what that looks like. And one thing to mention, I'm not sure. So you can see now video input has been denied. So instead of starting the lesson, you actually have to configure your devices. So you click on the configure devices. This is your AV setup page. And then you'll see here, you get that pop-up. Sorry, I didn't mean to click that. This pop-up basically says no video input. It appears your browser is blocking access. For if you're on Chrome, which we are here, then click on the icon to the left of the address bar and make sure that your camera and microphone are set to allow. So if I close that, basically what it's telling me to do is actually go up here and click on this microphone icon. Sometimes it's two little sliders, sometimes it's a padlock, and then re-enable my camera. And then you usually do have to reload the page in order for that permission to take effect. And then now we should see we'll have 3 check marks instead of that X. And you'll see that you have the start button instead of the configure device button. So this is all just to sort of eliminate the hassle of joining a lesson and having no camera or having no microphone. We want to make sure that when you join the lesson, everything is good to go. So we hit the start button and this will join the lesson. Now, one other important update for starting a lesson is lesson recordings. So if you notice, I did not start the lesson recording before I started the lesson. Going forward, you will now start the lesson recordings after you have started the lesson. And the huge advantage to this is you can start and stop lesson recordings whenever you want. So, and you can have multiple lesson recordings throughout a lesson. So if I click this button, it is now recording the lesson. And if I want to stop that, I can just click it again and it will stop recording. So I can turn this on and off as I see fit. Now, I would recommend giving the recording like 10 to 20 seconds to actually fire up and begin recording. So if you know you're about to do something that you want recorded, hit record, give it a couple seconds, and then do the thing that you're going to record. And we still have clips and everything, so that's not going away. This just makes lesson recordings a little bit more flexible. So yeah, from now on, lesson recordings start after you start the lesson. So that's going to be a big change for quite a lot of teachers. So I just want to make sure that's well understood. So let me just jump back to the questions and make sure there's no questions here. So to answer Gus, it should have audio. Maybe you can try calling into the phone line to get audio. I think everybody else can hear. I assume if a couple people could just confirm that you can hear me, because otherwise I've been speaking at a wall for the last 5 minutes. But yeah, for Gus, I think. Okay, cool. Yeah, everyone else can hear. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, Gus, I'm not 100% sure what's going on there. If you can hear me now, alpha.muzie.studio is the new URL. It's a temporary URL, to be clear. So you're not going to use alpha forever. Alpha is just for the next couple of weeks if you want to try out all of this new stuff. And the whole point of showing you this is so you can go and try it out before it goes live. Because we don't want you to just show up to lessons in a week or two and have all of this new stuff and kind of be flustered and everything. So alpha is your way of trying everything out before you need to use it. So yeah. And for Phil's question, students do get the system checker. It's really for that. Honestly, the teachers are less likely to be the issue when it comes to audio and video connection. Although the checker is there for you as well. It's mainly for the students to go through. So yes, that's available for them as well. And cool. So let's kind of keep going. So as I said, so we left off on the recordings. So recordings now occur after the lesson starts. Now, you probably noticed one other kind of visual big difference is we're taking this lesson in a forest. So I'll show you this one. This is more of a small, just kind of fun thing to do. It's entirely optional, but we've added custom backgrounds to the lessons. So if you want to, you can go to layouts and you'll have a backgrounds option. We will preload a folder with like 5 or 6 different backgrounds for you. And then you will see a backgrounds folder in your file sharing. If you want to add your own images to that folder, you can then use those for backgrounds. So we can click on backgrounds and okay, well, I need to put some images in the background folder, clearly. So if you don't see anything, then you've got to put images in the background folder. So which is in here. So in tools, let's see if I've got one here, if I need to make one. Yeah, here we go. So I've got the backgrounds folder. I probably just need to turn these all on. So yeah, so you should have backgrounds. You should have some backgrounds from us in the background folder, but you can upload and put your own backgrounds in there too. So you could do, a photograph of like your actual studio and stuff like that. Not sure why those aren't loading right now, but I'll take a look later. But basically, you can pick and choose from any background that you want, and it will take up the background of the lesson. So I think we've got a couple of different like forest and mountain scenes, and then a few like stages and stuff like that. It's fun, again, it's not like a huge thing, but if you just want to have a little fun with the environment, you can set that up however you want to. Cool. And so now we've done a few little UI changes. Like UI means user interface. So basically like buttons being redesigned and things like that. So to just kind of give you an idea, you can probably tell the box that goes around the video window has been slightly changed. The icons up here on the top of the video window are slightly different. They're just a little bit sleeker. They kind of just match and blend a little bit better with the other icons we've been using across the platform. There is a new sort of option here, which you can see this little box with the green line moving around. As you can tell, that's like, it's an input monitor. So it shows you in real time your microphone feed being picked up. One thing we've added to this, which is pretty cool, is you can actually click on this and you can increase the microphone volume in your lesson. So it goes all the way up to 20. 20 is pretty loud. So, one is this to, I know this is going to sound a little silly, but like one is normal. Like one's normal volume. Anything above one is like adding volume to your regular mic. So, so you probably only need like 2, 3, 4, 5 is probably going to be more than good enough for if your microphone's quiet. 20 you probably never need, but in some cases there's some, if you're stuck using like a snare drum microphone for some reason, you can always crank it up so your students will be able to hear you. Students also have that feature too. So if you're having a problem hearing your student, you can always just ask them to turn up their microphone. The arrow icon replaces the one that used to look kind of like the square like this. It does the punch in. So same feature, just change the icon to be a little bit more clear about what it is that it does. And then one other just quick like UI thing is we moved the timer to the inside of the lesson window here. So it used to be up here in the top. We just cleared up a little space because the top bar was getting a little cluttered. And just brought it down here. And the little red icon is meaning that it's being recorded. Of course, we're going to leave the recording in progress button because that is just is important to know if lessons are being recorded or not. So just 2 ways of knowing that the lesson's being recorded. And yeah, and I can't remember if this is new or not. So I'm pretty sure it is. The help button has changed to the same image that we use outside of the lesson, just to make it a little clearer that that is chat support. So if you're, where the little orange help button was, we've just put the image of me in the corner there, just so that it matches the image of me when you're not in the lesson. Just kind of bit of continuity for that kind of thing. And then one more just simple UI update is under the attendees list. We've just changed the buttons to be a little bit more clear about what they are and sort of fit our themes a little bit better. But functionally, that's the same. So some of the bigger updates. This one update I can't really show you. I can just tell you, and then you guys can go and try it yourselves, is enhanced audio and video. So obviously that is the bread and butter of Muzie. So the audio and video is higher bit rate, higher sample rates, faster. It's just better in every single way. So go ahead and try that out. It's just Muzie's audio on steroids now. And so, yeah, you'll have even clearer, more crisp lesson quality. Obviously, I can't really demonstrate that to you in real time through a third-party video conferencing tool. But that's the whole reason that we want to give you access to Alpha now, so you can open it up and try it out with your students. While you're in Alpha, you will have the ability to mess around with a couple of settings. Once we launch this live, we'll preset the settings for you, so you don't need to do any of this stuff. But just so you know where they are and what they do, you click on AV setup and options. Open audio options, and so you have echo cancellation, noise suppression, and gain control. I would recommend having echo cancellation on. Not every device needs it. but if you are getting echo, then turn that on. It will have basically no impact on the audio quality. It just stops echo. Noise suppression is pretty unlikely that you're going to need that. If for any reason you are hearing a lot of background noise that's sort of like unwanted background noise, or you have any sort of like static or sort of white noise kinds of things, noise suppression is a good option there. As I mentioned, once this goes live, you won't need to tweak any of this stuff. These are more just experimental while this is in alpha phase. Auto gain control, honestly, you'll probably never need this. But if for any reason your student is super loud and then super quiet and super loud and super quiet, auto gain control will kind of level that out so that the highs aren't too high and the lows aren't too low. Now, obviously, in music lessons, you kind of want to hear dynamics. So typically, I don't use auto gain control. 99.9% of the time, the only thing I have turned on is echo cancellation. And again, this is just for while we're in sort of alpha mode and we're still playing around with some of the settings, that you can tweak these yourself. And the student has those as well. So if the student's hearing echo, they can turn that on. But you really shouldn't need them. They're just kind of optional extras, you could call it. Oh, and just one thing to mention real quick. A few things that are going to be there, but in alpha, but won't show up in the live, like dump stats. That's just for us. It's like a development tool for us to check microphone connections, audio devices, things like that. It doesn't do anything practical for you. So don't worry about that. You can click it all you want, but it's not going to impact your lesson or anything. Now, to get into some of the more interesting things, like the actual feature updates. If we go into tools, the thing that has had the biggest overhaul is the audio and the video player. So let me just grab, let's do an audio file. All right, we'll do this backing track here. Now, this is the same audio video player that you will get in Clips. So Clips and regular uploaded videos and regular uploaded audio tracks will all have this new audio player. So the features that are available here are available in both. So we'll go over this in a second. Let me just jump back to the questions to make sure I'm not missing anything. Cool. All good so far? Okay, cool. So this was a pretty long, this is a 10.5-minute song. So that was probably a poor choice on my end, but no worries. Now you can probably already see visually, it's quite different. So in the old Muzie, it's just a little audio player. In this, you've got the full waveform and you've got a whole bunch of features down here at the bottom. So we'll go through all of this. This is the same in videos. You'll have just the video at the top, the waveform in the middle, and the play bar at the bottom. So I'll show you that in a second as well. But just to start with audio, seeing as we are musicians, audio is king. Now, you're probably noticing right away that there's sort of highlighted areas like chorus, test, Clayton, which is one of my students. So these are what we call regions. And regions are really neat. So the idea behind regions is that you can, as a teacher, you can name sections of a song. And then when you share this file with your students, this is what they will see when it opens. So if they want to jump right to the chorus, they just click on chorus and they're immediately on the chorus of the song. So it's really nice that you can kind of break up the song in sections like that. And this bleeds into another feature which we've added, which is looping. So these sections will actually loop. So if your student clicks on the chorus, when it gets to the end, it will just loop right back to the beginning of the chorus. So this is a great way of creating sort of regions in the song that your students can go back to over and over again. Regions are permanent, sort of semi-permanent. You can delete them. But if you make a region on a track and you share it to two different students, both students are going to see the same regions. So typically I would save regions for more generic, like chorus, verse, bridge, things like that. Probably not so much useful for like if you're working with one student and they need to loop this specific 4 bars. You might make a region just to show them where it is, but just remember that region will show to other students. So don't go too crazy with it, but it is a great feature to sort of break up the song in itself. Now, aside from regions, you have just general looping. So first, to make a region, you come down here, click the plus button, highlight the area on the waveform that you want, enter the name. So we'll just call this, we'll call out the verse, save it. So now you see we've got the verse here. And then we can turn off the regions tool. So now when we're clicking, we're not making more regions. So we're going to click here. Down to it. Right. So if we get to the end of this region, hold on, I'll just make a short one. So you're not all sitting here for 5 minutes waiting for me to go through this. Oh, actually, one thing to mention, when you make a region, you can actually drag it around. So if you don't nail the location perfectly, that's okay. They're sort of adjustable. So as you can see, you can kind of even make it thinner or make it longer. So that's sort of on you to adjust the regions as you go. So we'll go ahead and click this region. Starts playing the track. I don't know if you can actually hear this audio, but you'll see the bar hits the end of the region, goes back to the beginning. So that region is now looping. And so you can, and okay, let me just move this region in. Cool. And then basically you have the ability to mark up parts of the song. Now, if you don't want your loops to be permanent, you can use the icon, which is next to the plus, which is like a little 2 arrows for looping. This will just create temporary loops. So those loops are, you can, same deal, you can move them around, everything like that. And when you turn them off, they get turned off. So loops are designed for just temporary usage. So when you play the track, if we click over here, it will just loop this section. So while you're in a lesson trying to show a student a section or something, you can use loops to just quickly highlight something, have them loop that. And then when you turn off the loops tool, that loop goes away. So you've got regions, which are permanent, and you've got loops, which are temporary. And to mention, regions aren't like 100% permanent. You can delete them. So you just turn back on the regions tool, double click on the region you want, and then just hit delete. And that will, so you can delete your regions. The next, probably most important feature that we've added is audio pass-through. Audio pass-through allows you to send audio from a video, clip, or backing track directly from your computer to your student's computer. So you'll have 2 options for audio pass-through. There's teacher to student, which is the first icon here with the 2 arrows, and then student to teacher, which is the second icon. So it's sort of pass-through out versus pass-through in. So the idea is, let's say you're the teacher and you want to play along with a section of a song and demonstrate maybe a scale or a solo or something like that. You turn on your pass-through, hit play, and then your student is hearing this audio as if it's coming out of their own speakers, because it literally is. So then you just play along, and it is synced up. So, assuming you have good Wi-Fi, it will come in time. So you start playing your solo over the piece of music, and your student is hearing you through your microphone or through your interface, and they're hearing the audio come out of their speakers. So it's 2 separate audio channels, but because they're running through the same system, they're basically synced. Now, on the flip side, which is probably even more useful for us as teachers, is audio pass-through coming back in. So now let's say it's my student's turn, and I want them to play along with the chorus. They just click the chorus, and I will hear the audio from the track as if I had clicked play myself. And the student plays along, and again, it will be in time because the 2 audio sources are coming from the same place. They're both coming from the student's computer. So the quality is significantly improved. I mean, like, for some people, you depending on the device you have, it's actually really hard to even hear a backing track being played because the browsers and the microphones try to cut that out as background noise. This completely goes around that problem. So now you're going to hear the backing track exactly as it's supposed to be, and your student playing exactly as they're supposed to be. Now, with audio pass-through, headphones can actually be helpful. So it's not 100% mandatory, but if you're not quite getting the quality or you're hearing a little bit of echo, a good pair of headphones, recommended plug-in headphones if you still happen to own a device that that will take plug-in headphones. That can help because it will cut out any possibility of bleeding from one side to the other. But you really shouldn't need that. It's kind of rare that that's a problem. So yeah, audio pass-through is pretty impressive. This works on clips, this works on videos, this works on audio tracks. It actually also works on the metronome. So I can show you that in a second, but the metronome now has a little option to pass metronome. And when you do that, when you play the metronome, it will play on the student's side. Now, one thing to mention with audio pass-through is it's only audio being passed through. There's no visuals being passed. So what I mean by that is if I play this track, you can see the little counter is moving up and you can see the red bar is sort of moving across the song. If you're doing audio pass-through, the student's not going to see the track like moving like that. They're just going to hear the audio. There's no way to sync the visuals as well as the audio and have them all line up at the same time. So if you start like hearing music, but you didn't click play, and you've got this feature turned on, then it's your student passing you the audio. So just to be clear, and the same with videos. So if the student's playing a video, you're not going to see the video actually moving on your screen. You're just going to hear the audio from that clip or from that video, because synchronizing both is basically impossible. So we've opted to just not show the visual instead of it being out of sync, because it's honestly more confusing if it's out of sync. And as teachers, honestly, really what we're focused on is the audio and being able to hear what our students are playing. We know what the videos are. We probably either recorded them 5 minutes ago or it's a video you've used before. But when you play the video on your side, you will see the video being played. So just hope that makes sense. If I play the video using pass-through, the student will hear the audio. They won't see the video moving. And then vice versa. If the student plays the video, I will hear the audio, but I won't see the video moving. So I hope that's clear. Now, the two other features that are pretty cool built into the audio and video players. One is an adjustable sound. Again, this is kind of similar to the volume control we've got over here for your microphone, but this volume control is for the audio track itself. So if you are passing the audio through to your student, you can, sort of level up the microphone volume, or sorry, the track volume, and you can kind of mix between the two now. So like you can use your volume over here and the volume over here to sort of build like a mix that works well for what you're doing. And then on vice versa, your student can do the same thing. So the other and final thing here is speed controls. So you can now slow down and speed up. Well, sorry, slow down audio. So we didn't add speed up. It's just slow down. But what we've done is very cleverly, we've made it so it does not change the pitch. So if you play something at 75% speed, it's not like a lower pitch. It's the same pitch, it's the same notes, just slower. So this can be really good for the looping, because you can now loop a section of a song, set the tempo to whatever tempo you want. You can then click play and run through that section as many times as you want at 75% speed, or even down at 50% speed, or even down 25% speed. And then when you're happy, you can kind of work your way up to the top to the 100% speed. So this becomes a really good practice aid for your students when they're at home working through material that you've shared with them. Again, it keeps the quality of the audio. It just slows it down. So yeah, so that's basically the main thing in the audio player. Let me open a clip so you can just sort of see visually what that looks like. Again, it's basically the same thing, but you'll see what I mean. Here, actually, I'll make a new clip just so I can show you the process. And we have changed the UI ever so slightly. So we've added words to the two icons because we're clearly getting a little bit of confusion about which one to click. So you can record audio or you can record video. So that's up to you. So we'll do video. So up here, this is something to note. Microphone is not enabled. Clips uses a different audio parameter than the rest of the lesson. So even though your microphone is connected to the lesson, your microphone's not also connected to Clips. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So just keep an eye out. That's not new, but that I just wanted to mention because we do hear occasionally of people recording a clip and then having no audio. So do keep an eye up here to make sure that you've got a check mark and not an X. If you do have an X, you click on the gear icon and go in here, and it looks almost exactly like the AV setup from earlier, but this one is directed towards the Clips. And then we've got our little check mark, so we're all good on the audio. You'll see that we've changed the buttons down here, just be a little sleeker, little smaller, kind of out of your way. And we've added one function to Clips, which was highly requested. I can shout out Nate Lee for this one. He probably asked me 500 times for this feature personally, and I think is a great idea. So finally got around to adding it. Is you can pause the Clips recordings. So I'll start recording, and now we're recording our clip. And so let's say we're doing something, and I'm like, oh, let's stop here for a second. I can hit pause, and now this part of the recording is not being recorded. Then I can reinstate the recording and continue from where you left on. And these will just be spliced together. They'll be, it'll just have me like jump across the screen basically. And then when you are finished, you hit stop, and then you can play it back. You can rewind it, you can re-record it, and you can save it. That hasn't changed. That's all the same. But the icons themselves are just ever so slightly different. So go ahead and save my recording. And then it does exactly what it's done, previously. It renders the recording, and you get your little loading screen. And by the way, the monster is just a loading screen. It's just like a placeholder screen to load instead of having to load up thumbnails. And we do that just because it's faster. So if we rendered up an entire thumbnail every single time of the actual recording, it would just slow it down. So just to explain why that's there. Now, as you can see, it will go away once I hit play. Now we're recording our clip. And so let's say we're doing. And we actually will probably see the pause here. Oh, let's stop here for a second. So that was the pause. You saw how it kind of jumped. So as you can see, this is the video in the middle. Here, I'll put it on something that doesn't make me look silly. You can move through the recording by clicking on the waveform. You can move through the recording by sliding the little ball thing around. This also solves a problem we were having previously with Clips, is being able to rewind and jump ahead. So we've always had the ability to rewind, but it was pretty much all or nothing, like rewind to the beginning. But if you've got a 5-minute clip, that can be kind of a pain. So now you can scrub through your clip. And the waveform is actually really helpful because you can identify, like, oh, I know it's right here that they start playing. Or if you have like a count-in and you can see like 4 visual sort of spikes, then you know exactly where to click to kind of start going. And all those other features work, like you can do loopings. You can loop the sections and go from there. One thing to mention, adding permanent regions is not on Clips. Just because of the whole public and private thing with Clips, it messes up the regions. So regions is for audio and video recordings, but loops will work on any Clips. That's just because Clips are built differently than just audio or video tracks because of the way that you can share them either with a group or individuals or have variations of the same clip, things like that. But the audio pass through in and out is still there. The speed up and slow down, sorry, I shouldn't say speed up, but the slow down tool is there. The audio volume is there. Same as before, you have the ability to add your recordings. You can lock it so that students can't add anything to it. None of that's changed. That's all the same. But just to give you an idea of what Clips is going to look like going forward. But as you can see, same thing. You can, you can recording, stop, save, and same as always. It's just a little bit easier now to kind of move around inside your recordings. And so yeah, hopefully that improvement helps. Because I know a big request has been the ability to jump forward in a clip and jump back in a clip. And with those loops, hopefully this will just make it a much more effective tool for practicing and kind of being there when you need it. Cool. So let me just jump back, see if there's any questions. Will the audio pass-through work for screen share audio? Say audio from your YouTube. So that audio pass-through is slightly different. So this is a good question. Will audio pass-through work for screen share audio? Say audio from a YouTube video. So not that audio pass-through, but yes. So if you and actually the Amber Alert wasn't good. Sorry about that. Actually, and that is perfect segue because the next thing I was going to talk about is screen sharing. And actually, just before I jump to screen sharing, just tiny detail, probably not going to change the world for anyone, but up here in the top of the tools, you now have access to all of the other tools that are hidden by the window. So in current Muzie, you have to close the window to go and find your metronome or use the emojis or turn on and off the synchronization. Now those are available to you at all times. So just to mention that's there. Yeah, so screen share. So this is a good point. So if we go to screen share, this is the option here. And let me know, can you actually see this little screen share pop up? If not, I'll verbalize what it is that's on screen. It's the same screen share window that pops up, but at the bottom it says also share tab audio and has a little toggle switch. You want that to be turned on. So it's off when it's gray, on when it's blue, or whatever color your computer sets it to. But this means now when we do share a YouTube video or something, the audio from that YouTube video is passed through directly. So it's the same technology. It's just screen share is just a slightly different way of doing things. Where the other audio pass through is for files and things that are directly inside of Muzie. So you could think of it as like the audio pass through that we have that I showed you a second ago is for internal tools. The audio pass through on the screen share is for external tools. So whether it be YouTube or some other music app or something like that. So yeah, you just turn that on, select your tab, and then hit share. And then your student will hear whatever it is that you're sharing to them. Yeah, so let me just jump back, make sure. Cool. So the metronome. This isn't huge or anything, but actually, it's pretty useful. But it's pretty clear how it works. You just turn on send metronome audio. Now, when I turn on my metronome, this is going to send the audio directly through to the other person's machine. Again, they're not going to see the lights flashing or the numbers counting. They're just going to hear the clicking because, again, we can't synchronize the video or the visual with the audio at the same time. It's just too much for your standard network to be able to handle. So that's basically the ability to play the metronome for your student. Now, the really cool thing about that is we've done tons of tests with this. And when if I'm a student and I send the metronome audio and I hit play, when I play along with the metronome on my side, it is locked in with the metronome on the teacher's side or vice versa. So again, assuming you've got even decent internet connection, you don't really need to worry about lag or anything like that. It's just going to be pretty much in sync by the nature of what it is. So now the metronome is also a pass-through. So I'll pause for a second, just if anyone has any questions. And I'm just going to go through and just make sure that I have actually covered everything. Backgrounds, screen shares, audio pass-through, looping, regions, speed controls, lesson recordings, and the new lesson start process, and the new audio video. So that is most of what's new in this system. To try this stuff out, it's alpha.muzie.studio. You need to log into that, and your student needs to log into that. And then you can host your lessons. just as you would before. And again, you have all your files, you'll have all your previously recorded videos, you'll have all of the things that you've been using in the past. They're all just transferred from one platform over to the other. So we really hope that, this week especially, because it's probably, depending on where you are, if you're in the States, it will be quite a quiet week. So if you've got a couple students this week, please try it out and let us know how it goes. So far, the feedback has been fantastic, which is why we're kind of on the very tail end of getting this out to everybody. Again, if you do want to wait for it to just roll out, you're not going to be waiting long. It's probably a week or two at most. Probably the first week in December, I would assume, is when everybody will be seeing this. But we do appreciate if you try it out at a time so we can get more feedback, so we can just sort of reconfirm that everything is good. We've done tons of testing ourselves. We've got teachers on here doing lessons as we speak. So please try it out and definitely give us that feedback. But yeah, are there any questions? I will, I'll just pop out of this lesson. And yeah, let me know if you have any thoughts, and I can stop sharing now. So beautiful. Glad to hear. Yeah, so especially, I know Leanne is a vocal teacher, so I think for obviously all instruments will benefit from this, but I've heard a lot from our vocal teachers that things like audio pass-through will be a huge benefit, because being able to sing along with backing tracks and things like that is obviously vital to a singing lesson. Obviously important as well on any other instrument, but I don't know, I just feel in the world of music apps, singers seem to get left behind a little bit. So hopefully we can, this will address any of those problems or anything. And again, works on every device, every browser. Haven't changed any of that stuff. And if anything, it'll work better now on things like Safari, which typically are a little bit behind, like Chrome and Edge. But yeah, it's pretty great. Audio pass-through, awesome. Yeah, audio pass-through is going to be is a game changer. And so yeah, please try this out. Again, alpha.muzie.studio. If you've previously been using beta, you might have noticed a few days ago we actually switched beta over to alpha as well. So if you've been logging into beta as one of the beta testers, you're already using alpha. They are one and the same, as I sort of mentioned at the beginning there. But yeah, I was hanging around for another minute or two if anyone has any questions. Again, my demo calendar is open, so if you want to jump in a call and get some more hands-on with this, feel free to book a demo. But honestly, it's ready to go for you and your students to try it out. Again, just make sure you tell your student to log in through the alpha link. The way you'll know actually if your student has not logged in is you will be in the lesson room by yourself and your student will be in a different lesson room by themselves. So if you're in there and your student's like, I'm in the room, but you're not here, then it's safe to say that the student has logged into live and you've logged into alpha. You don't really need to do anything. You just tell the student to leave that room, go to alpha, same username and password, and then they'll just be able to get in. One caveat, actually. Sorry, I should have mentioned this earlier. There's one limitation to using alpha, and it is for users who created their account using the sign in with Google option. It's not that many people, so it shouldn't really affect you that much. But if your student used the sign in with Google option, that's not transferable over to alpha because Google restricts that to only be accessible for one login. So live is the only login it will work for. If those students do want to make a new account just to try out alpha for a few days, go for it. That's totally fine. But if you do run into that, just know that's the only restriction, is that students who use the sign in with Google option won't be able to get into alpha. It will tell them, they'll try and it will say like, cannot access account. And if that happens, either they can whip up a new account real quick, or just go back to live for that one lesson. But yeah, this is all the new stuff. This demo webinar has been recorded, so I'll chop this up into a video or a couple videos, and toss these onto the Facebook group, onto the website, onto the YouTube channel. So anyone that has any questions, yeah, just let us know. Thank you, Leanne, and everybody else, and Pamela, and Phil, and just Catherine, and whoever, Gus, and everyone else who attended. Thank you so much, Alan, Beth. Really appreciate it. Let me know if you need any help. The chat support's, of course, still open and ready to go. So if you need anything today, I'll be around. But thanks all for attending, and I will hopefully see you all soon. All right. Happy Thanksgiving for those who are celebrating.